So, will you talk a little bit about what happened the day before when you were chased?
We were actually out doing a drill, a fire drill. Um, we were out on deck. We just finished the fire drill portion, and we're going over it, discussing some things. And the captain was up on the bridge, and he called on the radio and just told us that we had passed by some boats, and it looked like we might be one of them might be following us, and let us know that if he rang the security signal, that it wouldn't be a drill, it'd be a real situation. And so the boat kept coming for like a couple hours, and it got pretty close. We sped up to pretty much as fast as we could go, and they closed within a mile or so before they gave up and turned around.
Well, that definitely foreshadowed what was going to happen the next day. Was it the same boat, do you know?
I doubt it.
To tell?
I doubt it, but I don't know.
Okay. So, what was your initial thought when the pirates rushed on board? What was the first thing that went into your head?
I don't know. I was still in bed. I was just getting up out of bed when the alarm went off, and we don't do drills, outside of normal working hours. So I knew it wasn't a drill; it was a real situation. So I just pretty much, started doing things like we would at a drill. I went down to my station and started getting ready. I'm in the engine room, so we started locking doors and trying to secure everything as best we can. The whole plan being to try and keep them off the ship, and if they get in the ship, try and slow them down, delay them as much as possible until the Navy can show up.
And at that point, was the crew panicky, or were you guys just sort of going through the motions, knew what to do?
Yeah, everybody was. I didn't see any panic in anybody. It was just doing. I don't know. There might have even been guys that thought it was a drill. So we were just going through our normal routine.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it didn't seem anything special other than I guess there was a little more tension than usual. Especially, we started getting reports, that shots had been fired and stuff like that, and then you see people look at each other, like this is a real serious situation,
Mm-hmm.
But
so, when the pirates came on board, how did the crew react towards them? Were there fights that broke out? Were there scuffles? Were people defending themselves?
No, not really. The pirates made it up to the bridge, and I was down below the whole time with most of the crew, and really the only interaction for most of the day was between the pirates and those guys that were on the bridge when they were caught up there.
Tell me what it was like in the engine room. How many of there were you down there?
I say most of us were there, and it was once the lights went out and it was dark, and engine rooms are hot at all times, but with this situation without ventilation and that, it was just unbelievable. It was something really beyond what I expected. Just the amount of heat, and it was we were short of water and food and that sort of thing, so it was really a much more difficult situation than I'd expected.
And how long were you down there?
Well, for most of the crew, pretty much from 8 in the morning until 1700 that evening, roughly, and pretty much a full day.
What were y'all doing while you were down there? What were y'all talking about?
It kind of changed at points. Most of the time, everybody was pretty quiet and was just laying around, and every once in a while, there was a little bit of trying to joke around and lighten up the situation a little, that sort of thing. But for the most part, guys were pretty quiet and just waiting and listening on the radio and trying to figure out what was going on and trying to think about what was going to happen.
What was the communication like during the event? Or you were able to place a phone call to Kelly, is that right, in an email?
That was afterwards.
Oh, it was afterwards?
That was
okay.
After the whole situation was pretty much over, where just the captain was left in the lifeboat, and we were following the lifeboat, and then they let everybody get on the sat phone and call them to tell their families they were okay.
I bet that was a relief, huh, to finally hear him.
Yeah, that was definitely a good phone call to get.
After all that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So What did you actually see? Did you see the pirates on the ship then at all?
The only one I saw closely was the one that we caught. After he was caught, we had him there with us for the better part of the day.
What did he look like? What was he wearing?
He was wearing like a just regular kind of dungarees type clothes, and like a blue navy khaki type pants, and a blue shirt, like a work shirt type.
And how old was he? Do you think?
I would have said, I heard on the news that he was like 19. It's hard to tell for me. I mean, he was a small guy, but I'm not good at judging ages anyway. Yeah. But I would have said probably early 20s, early to mid 20s.
Okay, and tell me about what it was like when you caught him. Like, how did you guys catch him? How did that happen?
I don't want to go too much into specifics, but okay. he came down in the engine room with someone else, one of the crew members, to look for people, and it was dark down there, and he was unfamiliar with the area like we were, and somebody jumped him.